continue this discussion during that time.
Yeah, I'm just, sorry.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's Board of Directors meeting, regular meeting. My computer's been a little slow tonight. So today is Tuesday, July 16th.
25th.
25th. Wow. Slow computer. Here we go, June 25th. I had my July schedule or meeting up, agenda up, so. Called this meeting to order at 6 p.m. Roll call of members, Wendell Slutton here, Isaac Leonardi.
Here.
Sarah Harms.
Here.
Karina Lozano.
Here.
Jules Kinko is absent. Brian Linsmeyer will be absent. Hetal Patel.
Here.
Dan Ellingson.
Here.
Mary Yap.
Here.
Doing volunteers for the reading of the vision, mission, and the land acknowledgement.
I'll do the land acknowledgement.
Vision.
All right, Mary.
Vision to be an innovative, sustainable model of academic excellence for all students that creates well-rounded, lifelong learners and global citizens. Our mission is that we provide accelerated and inclusive curricula and instruction on all subjects with an emphasis on math and science.
We would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the land of the Oceti Shakoi, the people of the Seven Council Fires, and the Wapakute Band. It is within MSA's responsibility as an academic institution to disseminate knowledge about Indigenous peoples and their history with this land. MSA works to build relationships with Native American students and families through academic pursuits and historical recognition.
I did not receive any open forum, so we will skip past that. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? The language we're using tonight is I move.
I move to approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
We have a quick question, and that is on 9E in the consent agenda. I'm confused as to the wording where it says 709 last reviewed June 25th, whereas everybody else, all of the others say reviewed or last revised. So I'm not sure if it's supposed to be last revised or reviewed.
I don't think there were changes. Maybe I should.
For policy 707?
For 709,
First reads.
under first reads, sorry, I1, 709. It's just not consistent with.
This policy didn't have any changes, that's why it's reviewed, not revised.
It also says that today would be the adoption date, so trying to rack my brain.
I'm just trying to figure out why the others say reviewed, and
Correct me if
we
I'm
have reviewed and we have last revised, but this one says last reviewed. So I guess my question is should they be consistent?
So just taking out, because all the others reviewed, just say reviewed.
Yeah.
But this one, like, if it says revised, it'll say last revised. So it should just say reviewed, because we didn't do anything to
But
it.
that's just the title of the PDF, that's
Yeah.
not on the policy. So it won't,
So it was just
show
reviewed.
up on the website or
I'm-
anything like that.
Okay.
It's just the title of the PDF.
We can ask Emma, she's the one who names these PDFs, and we'll,
Yeah, if we can just have consistency, because that
Yep.
looks like, okay, well, are there changes there? Why is this one different from the others?
yeah, we'll follow up with it. We'll follow up with Emma. Further discussion?
Are we good without having either of our community members?
Yes.
And are the legislative policy adoptions, are those first reads as well then?
Those are the legislatively mandated policies.
So when there's
But do they need to go through a two-read?
No, because it's
Okay.
just updating based on the law,
Okay.
so it's just wording changes based on the
Thank you.
changes in the law.
Sure on that one.
Yeah. And there'll be a lot of them now because they touched a lot of policies.
Right.
All right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Any conflicts of interest, or are there conflicts of interest? Seeing none. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Again, I move to.
I move to approve the minutes,
Is there a second?
the May minutes.
Second.
Discussion?
Or doing one at a time?
I think we should, because I do have some in both.
Okay.
So we'll do the 521 first. In there, I saw under G3, for consistency reasons, it says teacher representative, parent representative, community member. We are shifting to the language of teacher member, parent member, community member, so that should reflect in that. I'm also wondering, and Dr. Hinton, if you can work on this, we have Miss tomorrow, Brooks. Should we just take off Miss, since we don't have them for the other two.
Where is that?
G3.
Okay.
And I know it's a formality for teachers, however, I don't know, it is her married name, Brooks, so I don't know what her preferences are, so maybe just remove Miss.
Okay.
Any other corrections for the 521 meeting minutes?
Just a quick one, page 4, number 2A5. It says unit night instead of unity night. Or number 11, sorry, not number 2.
Okay. Any further discussion? And Handel, you're okay to revise your motion to approve the May 21st first?
Yes.
Karina?
Second.
Yep. I'm just verifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. All in favor for the approval of the May 21st meeting minutes? Aye. Opposed? Abstain. The motion for the May, or the June 13th.
Now we need a motion, right?
Yeah, the motion for the June 13th meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay.
June 13th.
Second? I will second. Under item 5, make sure I have my wording right here. It says not 15%, it is a 10% increase, and an additional 5%, it should reflect a raise.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's an unfinished sentence there where it says vetch starting salary was, and then not complete, maybe just put previous director salary was reviewed. Or do we want to put in, I have to go back and look,
I think I would just suggest striking it.
just striking it.
It's not particularly relevant.
Well, hold on, I'm not saying no, I just want to discuss for a second. I mean, that was part of the discussion. It was,
It was reviewed,
I
Yeah.
mean, because it was almost like a little bit of context of like, where are we coming from? That's why it was
Okay.
brought up. So I agree it's different people, but it was just, you know, where are we going and where did we come from?
maybe,
Okay.
maybe we put,
I don't need the number. I don't remember, maybe I brought it up, I don't recall, but
maybe we put vetch's starting salary and other schools. And kind of
we're
combine those two
reviewed in
sentences.
context
Yeah.
or something, because that's what it was for.
Yeah,
Was to just get a context for.
so we're just combining those last two sentences.
Yeah, and vetch is misspelled.
Yep.
And weren't you saying that like it should be previous director apostrophe S?
We could do previous director, yeah, or previous.
Cause like,
That's fine.
We did talk about
Yeah.
John's as well.
okay, so previous director.
Previous director.
Directors, yeah,
Apostrophe.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
I wasn't there. So.
Mhm.
it might be helpful to note that the 10% is because I didn't take a raise when I got the job. So this isn't just 10% and 5 more percent just for good measure. I took when I took the position, that's why the 10% was there.
Did we discuss that?
We did, yes.
I want to make sure we're not revising history.
True.
Because we made the motion and we approved the motion, so that's,
Right.
it's just we want to document what we said.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it was
That's fine.
stated in previous
In previous meetings, I
Yeah.
remember.
That's a valid point. So,
So are
I
we-
think it reflects what was stated.
Okay.
Yeah. Very good.
Yep.
Any other revisions on the June meeting, June 13th meeting? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Against? And opposed? Abstain, sorry. Thank you. This evening, we're going to be recognizing our exiting board members. This is our last evening with both Heather Patel and Karina Lozano. Dr. Henton had some words she'd like to say.
So something we do when teachers leave us is we present them with one of our little dragons.
That's so cute.
And so, Heddle, I wanted to thank you for your service on the board. Your 2 years of service have had a big impact. You've been a driving force in the adoption of the charter model policies and the rewriting of our bylaws. You've been an unwavering voice for equity, and we appreciate all of the hours you have put in to make MSA a better place for all. So, and Karina, just because you're getting the dragon doesn't mean you can leave.
Okay.
as that person, okay?
Sounds good.
So you're stuck here regardless. So Karina, we want to thank you for your service on the board. In your short time on the board, you've made significant contributions. We can always count on you to ask the hard questions and remain grounded in your focus on improving the lives of all students. Your drive to make MSA welcoming for all students has positively impacted all of us. So thank you.
And I would just like to echo what Dr. Hinton had stated. Both of you have been strong voices of equity here at the table, and it's a valued voice that we need. So continue to speak up and be loud. Want to shake hands? Bump fists? It's up to you.
I think we're good. I'm good.
Again, thank you for your service. All right, consent agenda. Is there a motion to pass the consent agenda? No, you have to finish the meeting.
Oh, I finished the meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, your term is not up till June 30th.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're recognizing you right now.
We recognize you, but you get to finish the
You're
meeting.
not kicking us out.
Yeah.
okay.
So,
So
with-
because I abstained from voting for the agenda because I didn't think
Okay.
I would be voting on matters.
I understand.
Okay, so just
With
leave
the new
that,
legislation
or-
being passed and the board term ending, beginning July 1st, you technically are on the board until June 30th. So
Okay.
if there was a need for an emergency meeting between now and then, you would still be called back for that.
Okay.
So we're just
Okay.
recognizing you at this time.
Okay.
Yeah. Are we good? Okay. All right. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Well, I will motion to approve the consent agenda then.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
I move.
I move.
I move, yes. Seconded by Leonardi. All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. On to the board and administration reports. So from me, we had our workshop and work session with a special meeting on June 13th. You can review the special meeting within the minutes. During the work session, we focused on developing our board handbook. It has gone through a couple of revisions with Christine and Emma. We should have something available for us in our July meeting, organizational meeting, to make motion on. We will get that out to you as soon as possible so you can review it further and have it ready to go for July. Volunteers of America workshop, Dr. Hinton and I were partnering with Teamworks and spoke at the Volunteers of America convention. I would say that it was a very productive and positive learning experience. I mean, it was my first ever formal public speaking event, so I was really anxious and nervous about it, but people were really there to hear about our experience and what we have gone through over the last couple of years and what we're doing to improve our governance as we work. And there was a pretty good turnout in our room. There was some great dialogue, conversation between some of the people that were there. Some of the perspective that I got from it too is I definitely think, and we can talk about this in further in July, but as we continue with Teamworks, bringing back Paula Forbes kind of full circle, what we've been going through and tying it back to equity, I think that would be a great experience for us. Dr. Hinton, do you want to kind of?
Well, I think in addition to the presentation that we did, there were a lot of other great presentations, and it was a great opportunity to network with other charter school leaders and board members, and different vendors and whatnot. So it was a good experience, and it was fun too.
Both Tammy and Kari were up there for their training and
Yeah,
enjoyed their
so-
time as well. So
Yeah,
it's
so
a
they'll
really
be all
experience.
good to go in terms of training. Now with the new legislation, it's not in effect until August 1, but the new law means that everybody needs a certain amount of board training before they can even take their seat. So you can't be seated until you've done training.
So we used to have a year, and now no more.
There's certain trainings that need to be done before, so
Before
that
you
we'll
start,
have to
okay.
think about
Yeah.
that when our election ends.
Yeah.
So
And,
technically Tammy and Kari don't qualify for this one. It's whoever we bring on next
After,
year will
right.
have to do it before. See, we're just being ahead of the game and ensuring that they're ready to go. But that means also MSBA Max has to reorganize themselves so they can provide that training before July. And that's something they're working on.
Yeah, and all charter school board terms begin on July 1.
Mhm.
That's the law now.
Official.
So there's none of this
Yeah.
awkward, what time do we leave the meeting, any of that, that's the law.
Yep.
How, just out of curiosity, how does that impact, if a board member gets appointed?
They
If
can't
there's a
be-
vacancy
yeah.
and
They have to go through
they
training
have to go
Before
through.
being-
before they
training
can
too.
take the seat.
Yeah. It's a good question, because like, what if
I
you're out of
mean, I'm just
compliance?
looking at the number of people
Yep.
that we have had
Yeah.
appointed in the recent past, the not so distant past, I guess might be the better way to put it, and thinking, oh my.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So there, that, on that topic, it has to be a certified training. So what Liz provided to us through MN Charter boards is certified, so people can go through that
Oh,
training
that'd be nice, yeah.
Okay.
in order to
That's
qualify for that.
Asynchronous,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. And I did ask Liz specifically about that, and she looked into it and said, yep. So there's that way of
Okay.
seeking your training before being seated.
But if they were elected, to your point, at the board meeting, they still can't take, because they would need to then go get trained and then hopefully come to the next meeting
Yep.
ready to go.
So our July meeting is our organizational meeting. We will be holding our elections of officers. I'm doing my homework and looking into MSBA. The practice that MSBA suggests is a motion to appoint. So if you want to self-volunteer at our organizational meeting, you can, or if you'd like to nominate another board member for a position, you can do that as well. And so that's the process we'll be taking during that. And then we will take a hand vote. A paper vote is actually against open meeting law. So we have to be careful with that. So if you are interested in a position, please consider self-nominating. If you have somebody in mind, you can also nominate them as well. Any questions on that?
Do you have to have statements along with it?
I mean, it would help if you would like to persuade. Yeah. And then lastly from me is our statement from our closed meeting. So in our in our May 21st meeting, we conducted a closed meeting to review Dr. Hinton's performance. During that closed meeting, the majority of the board has determined that Dr. Hinton is performing at an accomplished level. She consistently meets and sometimes exceeds expectations, and I'll get this for you later. Her performance meets the established requirements. She has thorough knowledge of the job and has made significant contributions. And we look forward to seeing the 2024-25 school year, how that rolls out, and her continued progress with the expansion. Dr. Hinton.
Okay. All right, so there are two things I wanted to talk about today. We just wanted to do our quarterly check-in on the strategic dashboard. In Success for All Students, I'm just going to kind of go through a couple of highlights and then an area that we're going to continue to work on. One thing that was something that we wanted to do this year and accomplish was have 2 parent-teacher conference sessions. And our graduation rate this year is expected to be at 98.6. So,
When you say this year, like the last? Or
for 24. So
24, 25.
yeah, the graduation that just happened.
The one that just happened, that's what I
We
was
won't
confused.
get the original, the real number until next spring,
Okay,
after they go through and
Oh,
correlate
because of
it.
everybody that has left MSA to make sure.
Right,
they
now
graduate.
what
Is that
we,
correct?
yep, and so what we did do, now that Joelle kind of understands that process, our graduation rate is getting retroactively fixed too, because we've now coded some students that left the state or left the country. And so they were counting against us, so those will be cleared up. I mean, we probably won't report on it, but our MDE graduation rate will go up.
but we can't retroactively change ratings, right? Like the third-party ratings, graduation rate is one of those requirements.
Yeah, but we're still
Yep,
killing everybody
Yeah,
with
right.
that, so, like, I mean, it's helpful, but it's, you know,
but as we report moving forward, we can report the corrected numbers
correct.
to show the trend.
Yeah, so it'll be better with MDE.
Good.
One thing that we're still working on, for next year is we have learning targets for all required courses, but we're still working on common formative and summative assessments. That's on our agenda next year to be working with in our PLCs. Organizational support for the mission and vision of MSA. Something that we have accomplished was to complete our year of governance work. So we've gotten all of our charter policies adopted and updated. Another thing that has been a highlight is we got our bylaws adopted and then updated twice in the last month to align with the legislative changes. And one thing that we're working on, and we actually have a meeting tomorrow, and I'll talk a little bit more about, is improving our branding and our website. As we're looking to try to grow like we are, we need to tighten up some of those materials. So we have a marketing firm coming in tomorrow to start helping us kind of align everything so that it doesn't look so scattered and looks a little more tight. And we're hoping to have a new website at least initially launched by the fall.
Just to ask, and it's not my role,
No,
but
but-
the mobile friendly,
Yeah, so that's what
Slightly more
we're
mobile.
working on
Okay.
that too, so we.
that's not from the
and-
board, that's as a parent.
Right, but, Justin has done tremendous work on our website, but he's not a website designer,
Sure.
right? And so we're gonna now hire somebody to do it properly. I mean, not that he didn't do it
No,
right,
no,
I'm
yeah,
not, but they can do all of those things where they can get it, so when you're on your iPad or on your
Yep.
phone, it looks right and works correctly. So that's something that we're working on. In terms of facilities and infrastructure to support MSA, one of the goals for this year was to implement the block schedule and establish regular walkthroughs. We have done that. And our staff and student retention is steadily increasing. We only had 2 teachers resign at the end of this year, which is pretty incredible. We have one that's on sabbatical, but 2 resignations. So really excited about that, because when I came in here, I think that we had 13 teachers that we had to replace in my first year, and that's a lot. And then our grow, which we're getting back on track with the original plan, and our strategic plan was to be in a new facility by this fall. We're now on track to be moving in the fall of '25. So it's better than what we were thinking last month, but not quite what we had planned originally. Any questions on the dashboard before I move to the expansion update? Okay. So for the expansion update, there's just a few high-level areas I'm just going to hit on. There's been a ton of activity, so if you have any specific questions, feel free to give me a call. I'll be happy. Some of the things we can't talk about in open forum yet because we're still working through negotiations and whatnot. So we were one of 17 charter schools that qualified to apply for the High Quality Charter School Expansion Grant. The outcomes were measured by math proficiency, reading proficiency, science proficiency, math growth, reading growth, and 7-year graduation rate. And so what they did was they took our students and then they randomly selected other students throughout the state who had the same demographics as our students. And they ran through 3 model schools where they took these random students and they compared them to us. When, we came out ahead on all of those, that was part of how we qualified. And then we needed to be also not having financial problems and not being a pervasively dangerous school, which I don't think there's anybody in the state charter school in the state that qualifies as that. So I'm glad that we.
And this is state funding or federal funding?
It's federal money, the state runs the grant.
Okay, I was confused
Yeah.
when I was reading this.
Yeah. And if awarded, we got the grant in last week. If we are awarded the grant, it would be a net of $2 million over 3 years. And it was quite a process. I think the grant is, I attached it to one of the things, it's like 90-some pages long. So we were really lucky. We got a grant writer from TeamWorks that helped us with it, and she was phenomenal. I don't know how in 3.5 weeks we could have produced that grant. I couldn't have done it by myself. And so we appreciate her work on that, and we'll see. We should know by mid-August if we got the grant. So. In our transition from NTH to JB Vang, that is complete. Everything was amicable with the NTH and their team. And JB Vang, Koo has been meeting with property owners and municipalities. He's trying to get us the best deal. He is already working it. I mean, I was trying to drive through the Upper Peninsula and he's texting, I'm like, I can't, I don't even have regular cell service. Can I just get on the other side of the bridge? Then we can talk. So Dan and I have met with him a few times. He is intending to get us under contract with the property soon. So when we have negotiated something, whatever's gonna work with the, we're down to mainly 2 properties. One property is just not panning out real well for us. Then we'll have something to approve for a purchase agreement, hopefully in July.
And now Pope Architects, that's different than the architect that we
Yeah,
had.
the whole team is different.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, but I wasn't.
Yeah, no, so we have a whole different team. So the expansion committee is meeting with the Pope Architects on June 27th. I met with them today and we just talked through, the program is that, like how many classrooms of each type of classroom, what size will they be? So we talked through that program today. We'll do it again with the expansion committee. They are saying that they will have a revised program, a general layout of the building and perhaps some drawings by day after tomorrow, so.
Can I just add one
That'd be
comment?
impressive, yeah.
So I just want the board to know, I mean, I think we've made a solid choice with J.D. Vang and Koo in particular. I mean, so he's going through and kind of revisiting everything that was done before, and as he's finding some things are slightly different or than we had thought, instead of just coming back and kind of complaining, he's like, here's option one, here's option two, here's option three, and I recommend doing this. So it's just fantastic to
Yeah.
have somebody who's like, here's how we're gonna make it happen, we're gonna have to do this or do that. So when that gets settled down, of course, that needs to come back to the board and we make the decisions. That was clear,
Yeah,
that we don't make decisions as we have these advisory sort of things, but when it comes back, he knows kind of where we're
right,
pointing and he knows how to do this, so it's kind of nice to
yeah.
have
So
that.
when he comes back with us with a recommendation, he will have ascertained that this is the best price, that this is the best property, and that's his recommendation to the board. So he's negotiating right now to see what he can do for price, and I'm happy to talk through with anybody, any more details if you're interested.
And are you anticipating that will be at the July meeting then, or will there be a special meeting?
I am not sure yet. I do not know. There's just I mean, we're meeting with the city July 8th, one of the cities on July 8th, and we'll see if we're ready at that point.
Okay.
It's hard to know.
No, I just,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
asking
just-
because I have some out-of-town stuff I have to take care of. So if I know that July 8th, nothing before July 8th, I know I'm good. I'll
Yeah.
get it figured out before.
Yeah, so, and then marketing, I already brought that up, that we were talking about it. It says web refresh expected by early, it should be fall of '24, moving in '25. We've secured a booth at Woodbury Days, and we are working on selecting a marketing firm to help us get everything tightened up so that when we roll this out, it's very professional and not a lot of mistakes, because the enrollment growth that we're gonna need to do is gonna need to be, we're gonna have to hit the ground running. I'm not concerned, I just wanna make sure that it's clean and ready to go. The expansion committee, we're developing a plan to begin elementary focus groups. That was something that I was thinking we would be doing this week, but now that Pope is ready to go on meeting and talking about the building, we'll have to have another meeting that'll talk about the elementary focus at a different date. We'll be meeting pretty regularly then. And then we are planning a town hall for July 10th from 6 to 7:30 in the Great Hall. So if you're able to attend, that would be great, just to hear where we are in the whole process. And I'm not exactly sure what I'll be able to share, because I'm not sure how much is gonna get done between now and then, because it's happening really fast right now. So, and that's great, because we have kind of been stuck at various points and not progressing. So this is sort of a shift.
Will 2025, when you look at elementary, when are you anticipating us rolling out a K-5?
That'll be in the fall, 25.
Oh, okay. I mean, we've talked so many different things, I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
where we
no,
were at
because
right now.
if we're gonna be moving into the other building, we need to get kids in here so that we can pay for this place, because we
Okay.
will need to, get
Thank
that
you.
ready to go. So it'll be a big lift to get all that done in that amount of time. Some of the things that we've asked for in the grant are people to help us with that lift, so hopefully that goes through and that will be helpful. And then bonding, there's some political pressure right now with the presidential election coming up to keep interest rates steady going into the election. So that's one of the reasons why Koo really wants to get the bonding done early this fall, to make sure that that happens. And then I talked with Bruce when we were at the BOA convention, and he said that steel prices and some of the subcontracting services are coming down slightly. I think that, there's been a pause on office building. And so that is going to benefit us. And so it's just kind of nice to see things steady or going in a better direction than what we have been in the last year. So that is the expansion update at this point. And again, if there's anything that you would like to speak with me about, just shoot me an email and we'll set up a time and I can talk through a few more details with you. None of it is secret, it's just some of it's not ready to be shared publicly. So,
Thank you, Dr. Hinton. Finance Committee report, Isaac.
Okay, so we didn't have a meeting this last month, but we do have the reports linked. As far as the surplus for the year, it looks really similar to our last meeting, so 13,613. It could be more based on a couple of factors, and then we meet all of our requirements. So based on my understanding, we'll wait till we have a meeting to officially.
I think that might be good, because there's some things in the financials that confused me, and I asked Dustin, and I'm not super certain. I think it'll be better when we let it shake out for
Yep.
July.
So to help ease everybody to looking at this, you can look at these now, come up with your questions, send them to Isaac.
We'll
And then-
meet sometime in July.
We'll print them.
Well, they'll close out the year end,
Yeah.
and then we'll approve the year end, and we can do June at the same time.
Next
Yeah.
meeting, like we did last time.
Okay.
Yeah.
The cash
In
balance.
July,
Oh, go ahead.
in July.
It'll probably be August, because it
Yeah.
takes them a little while to finish tabulating everything, get all the payments processed.
Okay.
So it'll be a little bit, but it's positive at this
Yeah.
point.
You have them now to look at and
Mhm.
review. so.
Just in general, the cash balance is it going down a little bit? 'Cause I don't remember in the 2 millions and now we're 1.6. But maybe-
That's the unrestricted cash reserve, isn't it?
Just says the cash balance is 1.6, because you're right, some is restricted, right?
Mhm.
1.2 is required to maintain, 1.3, let's say. I didn't pull up the old statements, I just had a 2 in my mind as the number.
I think that there's a couple things that have gone on, that we have money owed to the school from the building company. So right now, there's money
The
sitting
lag.
in the account
Yep.
that hasn't been paid, and so
Gotcha. Okay.
working through that, because that's one of the things that actually looks goofy to me when it says net income to date is 683,000. That's kind of an unusual number. But I think if you were to take out the due from the building company, I think it would balance out. But we'll ask all of those questions before we get to the August meeting to go through them all.
So do you want to make a motion to postpone the approval of this?
Just have one question. So I know we need to postpone the approval, but that's not gonna impact us in terms of getting our authorizing, right?
Correct.
Okay.
That contract has already been put in, that's good.
Okay.
We'll send these financials over, because we submit every month
Mhm.
to,
And historically, we've approved most of the summer, June, July meeting, our financials for August.
Okay, so it's our
Mhm.
pattern.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I think we can just check that one.
Yeah, the double charge.
Asked about.
Yep. I move to postpone the approval of the finance meetings.
The May
Minutes.
finance.
I move to delay the approval of the May finance minutes to a later meeting.
Motion by Isaac. Is there a second?
I second that one.
Any further discussion? Other than historically, this is how we've done things.
I don't know what page it is, but it does have a chart of the cash balance over time, which is right around 2 or even over 2. So 1.6, maybe we just check into that and see what
yeah,
happens.
see what that's going on.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Governance Committee, any questions on the minutes? Hearing none, we'll move on to our action items. So one item on tonight's agenda is the building company elections were presented at our last ABC meeting. Dr. Hinton, do you want to?
Everybody who is currently on the building company has volunteered to return for another 2-year term.
In accordance to the bylaws.
In accordance to the bylaws, yep. So we've been trying to really tighten up and make sure we're following the building company bylaws. And we need to do elections every 2 years. So,
I just have a quick question, and that is, Wendell, where you're sitting on as a board member, but your term expires in a year, and this is a 2-year term, does that impact it at all? I mean, Isaac's fine, because his,
I'm re-elected, so this would be my second. Is that how it worked, or?
so
'Cause I've
it
only been on
doesn't,
it for a year.
he can be
Right.
on
I've only been
as,
on it for
there's not
1 year.
any rule about how many board members, non-board members.
She's wondering if I'm gonna be there.
because he's
Yeah.
listed on as a board member, but his
Yeah.
board member term expires a year from now, so
So
he,
I've only been on this committee for 1 year, so I'm going on to my second year.
So I think what she's asking is, does it become a problem because you wouldn't be, you potentially
if
wouldn't
you wouldn't
run?
get reelected to the board,
Yeah.
or if you wouldn't run next year for the board position.
But
Can
then
you
after
still
the second year, we
fulfill-
can.
So one thing that's really interesting in the building company bylaws is it's not a statement of how many board members, non-board members, there isn't even really a number
Oh,
of
okay.
people on the
I
building
just, I
company.
wasn't sure, and we
Yeah,
made such strides in putting it out there that people should be able to fulfill their full term on the school board.
Mhm.
That, do we need to have that same consideration for
So
the building
maybe-
company board?
In accordance to the bylaws, maybe we just say member, and then if we wanna put comma, board member, cause in our role, we're just a member of the committee. We're not there specifically as a board member or a community member or,
right, because you're a member, this
Yeah.
is the building company has a board,
yeah.
and this is the board of the building company.
So to Mary's point, maybe take off the term, the title of board member and just put member. If that makes sense.
I don't know.
Well, these are
I-
all members.
Yeah,
It's a separate entity.
It's
Yeah.
it's an entirely separate
It's
entity.
entirely,
Yeah.
so,
I wasn't sure if you were on as a board member, or if you were on as a
Yeah.
teacher, or
So
what.
typically, the chair and the treasurer are on, it's not required, but typically that's
That's
what we do.
practice.
Does it have to be a 2-year term for the board, for the building company?
You know, we could always appoint different members if you didn't want to finish it. I mean,
Just the time,
I mean,
the
I'm
timing with
just,
different
I'm
people,
asking
it's
for
kinda what's messing
clarification,
this
because
up,
I
but-
don't know what.
no, and it's, we're still trying to, at one point, I'm gonna have Emma retype them because the bylaws, because if you try and read them, they were scanned side. It looks a little goofy, but we have to try and find the original. So anyway,
It's in a mimeograph somewhere.
yeah. Who knows?
I was thinking about would it make sense for me to sit in? Would that be like now you'd have to go in, or is it every even year we do elections, or?
We can elect people to the building company at a
Okay.
different time. This group, outside of me, because I'm, as the ED, I'm always the president, they just are up after, their 2-year term is
I
up.
gotcha, yep. And that would be
So
the
just-
same for others if they wanted to join, are they able to sit and view?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Community
an
members?
open
Yeah,
meeting.
okay.
I mean, you just have to let us know you want to come, because we'll
Gotcha.
send, it's a little bit different than
we have many virtually, so.
we do them virtual, and we typically do
No
them at
board
7 o'clock
open
in the
meeting
morning.
requirement?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's nice.
But, I mean, people are welcome to come.
Sure. So in the future, just member, and then if we wanna do comma, board chair, kind of as their
Okay.
role in why they're on this committee.
So
I don't-
we
it's
can fix
something we
it
can
in the
look at.
minutes,
We
yeah.
can look at it later. So, is there a motion to approve the reelection of building company?
I'll move to re-elect these members of the building company.
Is there a second?
I can second, is it Dan?
Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Motion passes. So some future board items, in July, we'll be having our organizational meeting, so make sure that you've checked those dates that Emma has provided for us. We will be doing the elections of officers, so if you are interested in a position, please come with statements provided or prepared. And then the town hall, July 10th at 6 p.m. And that'll be at the Great Hall. Yes.
Are our board meetings established next month?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because we provided the list last month of all the dates.
Okay,
So if you want to just check that list and then. Emma went through and verified with the school calendar, so everything is set there, it's just your personal.
So should we
I don't
come
know.
with those dates if we can't go to any of them,
It's
just bring them up at that meeting? Or should I let you know?
okay, okay.
I mean, technically you should be at every meeting.
Yeah, there's one I
But there are
can't
some
go.
conflicts,
Yeah.
but you can bring it up for discussion and maybe it's in the best interest of the whole group to reschedule that one.
Okay.
Yeah,
July 16th is the next.
yes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Can we
organization.
also get, as I looked at the calendar coming forward that we approved in the consent, and we have back to school night, and we have sixth grade picnic, and I know at times we've had board members at the sixth grade picnic, and sometimes we don't. I always thought, here's me speaking as board member, but from the parent perspective, it was really nice to know who my board members were and to meet them, especially if I was brand new to the school. And last year, I know we needed to be here because we had kind of that town hall time. So it would be nice to know what the expectation is or what the plan is for at least those 2 dates for board
So what I'm
members.
hearing from you is something that I know they've done in the past, is they basically had a spreadsheet of all of the different events throughout the year, and then board members can sign up specifically for certain events. Is that something we could see
Yeah,
in
I
July?
mean, that would be great, be able to offer an equal
Mhm.
opportunity to everyone to volunteer for basketball games or the play or, what have you. That would be
We discussed
super.
that as part of our 3-year plan,
Yep,
yeah.
yeah. So we can put that in there, we can have something ready.
Yeah, we can have, and it probably will not have every event in the
No.
school listed.
Yeah.
Because that would be too much.
Well,
But it'll
Steve doesn't have all
have
the
the
games.
bigger events.
Yeah, Steve doesn't have all the basketball games or the track events.
Well, he
scheduled.
probably does, but not typed out
I was
like that.
gonna say,
I don't need him to have a heart
They are pretty
Yeah.
attack.
close on the volleyball and basketball games at this point in badminton.
Yeah, because the staff already has something lined up for that, as far as like volunteer out times. We could just take what we've done with that and do something similar.
Right, it'll
Yeah.
just be different, like, we're not
Yeah.
asking you to come do dances. I mean, if you wanna do a dance,
Yeah.
just let me know, but.
I'm
We always
sure-
can
Kind
use
of-
people, but,
kind of
that's not
Yeah.
gonna be something that's one of your requirements.
Yeah.
Lunchroom supervision, no.
Although handing out pizza is fun.
It
Handing out
is.
pizza is fun.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy with a piece of pizza.
Yeah.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn? Brian's not here to jump on that one, so.
Shawnee asked me to interrupt to see if you could schedule the town hall for a different place or a different time, because the Y Care is happening at the time in the Great Hall, it doesn't end until after 6. And the gym, the entirety of Building D will not be ready at that time.
So could we say 6:30? Is that enough turnaround?
I'll
or-
work with Y-Care and then let you
Okay.
let the board know.
Sorry, Shawnee asked me to interrupt.
Okay.
It's a good concern. Motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Mary second. Have a good evening.
And this is much quieter than this fan's.